Hey, this is C&D channel. I'm Chris. This is MMA for you. I'm going to be doing my predictions for what UFC 186 Johnson versus Horiguchi, which happens on April 25th. Overall, this card has suffered many injuries and replacements and whatnot. Rampage was supposed to fight Fabio Maldonado. Henan Barrow was supposed to fight TJ Dillashaw. It's actually a pretty decent card. John Makdessi was supposed to fight Abel Trujillo. They didn't even have Aisling Daly versus Randa Markos on this card. So yeah, like I said, it was actually a decent card until the injuries just wrecked this card. As far as the card goes, it's just an okay card. Not too many bouts of consequence. Prospect wise, I mean, you got 3 women's fights, which is actually pretty cool. Davis versus Kaufman, I think, is just going to be fight of the night. If you watch their second Strikeforce fight, they're just like punching each other in the face. Prospect wise, Thomas Almeida is fighting, which is good. Olivier Aubin-Mercier fights another good prospect, and well, you know what? I don't know if he's a good prospect, but a prospect, and David Michaud. I only say that because I can't really see Michaud, how high his ceiling is quite yet. 3 women's fights. Ronda Markos versus Aisling Daly is good though. Laprise, not a bad prospect. He's 9-0, 28 years old, good everywhere. But he's not like, I wouldn't call him a blue chip prospect. There's some good action fights though. Almeida versus Jabouin. Is it Jabouin? I don't know. I'll say Jabouin. And Makdessi versus Campbell and Maldonado versus Boss looks pretty good. Kaufman versus Davis I think should be good. Letourneau versus Rakoczy I think is going to be pretty good as well. So there are actually some potential for some action fights here. So that's good. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, you don't have too many ranked fighters. And you don't have too many bouts of consequence. Let's just get started. Demetrious Mighty Mouse Johnson fights Kyoji Horiguchi. Horiguchi has a 15-1 record. Now this is for the flyweight title, by the way. 15-1 record, 9 wins by KO or TKO, 1 win by sub. 24 years old on a 9-fight win streak. Trains at a Crazy Bee with the likes of Kid Yamamoto. He has an in-and-out style boxing, but he has real heavy hands. His overall grappling actually isn't too bad, but his takedown defense needs a lot of work. A good amount of his opponents have actually taken him down. Demetrious Johnson, 21-2 record with 1 draw. 4 wins by KO or TKO, 8 wins by sub. He's 28 years old on a 7-fight win streak. Trains out of AMC Pancration. Under Matt Hume. He's a current UFC flyweight champion. He is, in my opinion, skill-wise, he's probably pound for pound, just skill-wise. There's no weakness. There's no range he's bad at. There's no weakness in his game, really. I mean, he's really well-rounded. He uses movement. He's agile. His cardio's strong. His kickboxing's strong. He uses combinations. He's strong into clinch, as shown in the Letourneau fight. His clinch knees are good. Almost finished Dodson with those. He's a strong wrestler, both offensively and defensively. So he's good takedown defense. He's a strong scrambler. And he has been finishing opponents with submissions as of late. His Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is good, if not great. You know, he's just a guy that really doesn't have any real weaknesses. I gotta go with him, probably to win a decision. Possibly a submission, actually. Like I said, I think Johnson can probably hang with any flyweight on the feet. I really do. He can fight in so many ranges too. I mean, like, Horiguchi needs space. So, you know, if Johnson wants to fight it up close, he probably could. If he wants to get takedowns on Horiguchi, others have. And if he does get takedowns on Horiguchi, it's not inconceivable to see him like get a dominant position, go for like a Kimura or something, Kimura or something like that on Horiguchi. But I think we'll probably see Demetrious Johnson win by decision in this one. Next fight, I thought Michael Bisping fights CB Dollaway. Michael Bisping, 25-7 record, 15 wins by KO TKO, 4 wins by sub. That's his 2 losses by KO TKO. He's 36 years old, trains out of HB Ultimate with the likes of Brandon Halsey. He is an Ultimate Fighter winner. He is trading wins and losses right now. Most recently lost to Rockhold. Before that, he beat Kung Lee. He's a good kickboxer, uses combinations. He's known for his volume striking and strong cardio. His takedown defense is good. His counter wrestling. And what I mean by counter wrestling is like the ability to get back to his feet when he's taken down and whatnot. Is really strong. That's actually one that I actually think he's probably top 10 as far as getting back to his feet when he's taken down. His ground and pound is actually really strong. One thing about Bisping though, he is really susceptible to the overhand right. I mean, the guy, I can name so many fights, win or lose, of his where he's just been hit with like overhand rights. CB Dollaway, 25-6 record, 6 wins by KO TKO, 3 wins by sub. He also has 3 losses by KO TKO and 2 losses by submission. 31 years old, trains out of Power MMA with the likes of Ryan Bader. Strong wrestler with good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and his boxing's greatly improving as well. His cardio though is not the greatest. He has good top control too. I'm pretty high on Dollaway actually, just not high in the fact that I think he'll be a title contender, but like he's definitely reached. I thought he'd be a perpetual mid-level guy, and to see him kind of reach the level that he has and to finally put everything together, you know, he looks good. You know, another guy that's done that is like Talis Leites. You know, it's just like he's like a pure Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy. Now he's like really putting everything together. But I gotta go with Bisping here. I think that he can just just volume strike Dollaway, pepper him, drain him of his cardio, defend takedowns, and get the decision win. So I'm gonna go with Michael Bisping here. I don't know if Daly can really get the knockout either. You know, I mean, I wouldn't consider him, you know, he's not pillow-fisted or anything like that, but I wouldn't necessarily say that Dollaway's heavy-handed either. And I know, like, Bisping's fought, like, the likes of, like, Alan Belcher, and some guys with some relatively heavy hands and managed to outstrike him. So, yeah, I'll go with Bisping to out-cardio, out-volume strike CB Dollaway for the win here. Next fight, that Fabio Maldonado fights Steve Boss. Steve Boss, 10-1 record, 8 wins by KO TKO, 1 win by sub. 33 years old on an 8-fight win streak, training at a TriStar. He actually retired and now he's coming back, replacing Rampage. It's his first fight in the UFC. He's taking the fight on short notice, and he last fought in May 2013. As my rules with all UFC cards, I make sure to, with anyone who's making their first fight in the UFC, I try and make it a point to watch at least one fight of theirs. So I saw Boss's fight with Houston Alexander. I like his stand-up. He has a good right hand. He leads with it too. Pretty heavy-handed guy. I like his clinch striking. He'll get a single collar tie, and he's a former Hawk enforcer. Single collar tie, and he just starts punching with the other hand. Some decent knees as well. Shows some pretty good ground and pound, actually. Fabio Maldonado, 22-7 record, 13 wins by KO or TKO, 3 wins by sub. Also has 2 losses by KO or TKO and 2 losses by sub. He's 34 years old. He has good offensive boxing. He uses body punches. He has a strong chin. And surprisingly strong cardio, too. The guy doesn't really let up on his output. Super aggressive, really high pressure. Takedown defense is decent. He's weak off his back, though, and he has a very weak stand-up defense. He is one of the most hittable guys out there. I mean, this guy has, like, next to no defense. His way of defending, like, if an opponent has a double collar tie and is, like, throwing knees, his idea of getting out of that is punching the body until the guy stops. I mean, he just does not have defense. I'm going to go Fabio Maldonado to win this one with just higher volume. He's not taking the fight on short notice, too, so that might affect Steve Boss's cardio. And with Maldonado having a good chin, Boss does hit hard, but I don't know if he can put away Maldonado's strikes. I don't know if he can really take him down, too. He might be able to. I don't know if he can hold him down, though. I don't know if he can do that for 2 of 3 rounds. I can see Maldonado eventually, especially in around the 2nd and 3rd round, bullying, trying to get Boss up against the fence, working his short-range boxing game where he hits the body and the head, and, you know, with a lot of volume and whatnot. And I'll go with... I don't know how tough Steve Boss is. I know he's got some injuries and stuff. I'll go Fabio Maldonado TKO for the win. Not in the 1st round, probably in like late 2nd, 3rd, or the 3rd round. So Fabio Maldonado TKO for the win there. Next fight after that, John Makdessi fights Shane Campbell. Shane Campbell, 11-2 record, 5 wins by KO or TKO, 2 wins by sub, 27 years old. He's going to be 6 foot, whereas John Makdessi's 5'8". Campbell's on a 3-fight win streak. He most recently fought Derek Boyle in the World Series of Fighting. He should be pretty well known as the guy who did, whether you want to call it either a Hadouken or like the Dragon Ball like Kamehameha. He did like... He hurt his opponent, did like this like Kamehameha or like Hadouken, and then he went to pounce for the finish. It was trending too, actually, on like Facebook and stuff. Regardless, he trains at a Toshida mixed martial arts with Matt Dwyer and Sarah Morris. It is his first fight in the UFC, seeking to fight on short notice as a replacement for Abel Trujillo. Things I like about Shane Campbell, he has good Muay Thai. And his grappling is improving. John Makdessi, 12-3 record, 8 wins by KO or TKO, 4 wins by decision. 29 years old. He is not that big for a weight class. He's 5'8". He trains at a TriStar, and he last fought, I believe, it's Alan Patrick in February 2014, if I'm not mistaken. He has a Taekwondo style stand-up. He will throw like a spinning back fist and stuff like that. His strength of his game, honestly, is his jab. I think he has a really good jab. Used against like Darren Cruikshank, Sam Stout. And it's a TriStar thing anyways, have a good jab. His kicks are good, and his takedown defense isn't too bad as well. I always like the guy with the better jab. I mean, that is the punch that'll dictate range. He's a good kicker too. He's also not taking the fight on short notice, so I am going to go John Makdessi. Makdessi decision for the win. Possible TKO, but I'll go with decision. John Makdessi for the decision win. Next right that, Thomas Almeida fights Yves Jabouin. Almeida has a 17-0 undefeated record, 13 wins by KO or TKO, 3 wins by sub. He's only 23 years old. Trains out of Shoot the Box and Macaco Gold Team. He's a strong kickboxer. He uses body strikes. He uses combinations. He's really aggressive, and his grappling is improving. Yves Jabouin, 20-9 record, 11 wins by KO or TKO, 1 win by sub. He has 4 losses by KO or TKO and 3 losses by submission. He's 35 years old, training out of TriStar. He's trading wins and losses. He's a good kickboxer, really good kicks. He even go for the spinning back kick at times. His overall grappling is actually improving. He actually managed to take down Mike Easton a bunch of times and whatnot. With that said, I'm really high on Thomas Almeida. I think he is a blue chip bantamweight prospect. I think he is probably going to out volume Yves Jabouin. He's going to always push forward. And I'm going to go Thomas Almeida TKO win. Especially if he gets his body strike game going. I think he can probably get a TKO with possibly even a body strike. Or else it just wear him down until like the 3rd round or so. And get the TKO in the later rounds. Okay, on to the prelim cards, which will be on Fox Sports 1. You have Patrick Cote fighting Joe Riggs. Joe Riggs, 40-15 record with 1 no contest. 20 wins by KO or TKO, 16 wins by sub. He also has 6 losses by KO or TKO and 7 losses by sub. 32 years old, training out of MMA Lab. He is a veteran. His stand-up's average. I thought the strength of Riggs' game is probably his wrestling and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I think those are pretty solid. Patrick Cote, 20-9 record, 8 wins by KO or TKO, 3 wins by sub. That's his 3 losses by submission, 35 years old. He's got some good stand-up. His wrestling's improving. And he's fighting like a grinder. He just kind of, like a lot of times now, he's trying to take his opponent down to the ground and just grinding away in top control. It's not that fun to watch anymore. In my opinion, I think his chin is greatly deteriorating. Kyle Noak managed to drop him. Alessio Sakara, more or less finished him. I mean, hit him in the back of the head and whatnot. Nonetheless, I'm going to go with Cote by decision here. I think he's still the better striker than Riggs. His takedown defense isn't that bad, Cote's. So I think he'll be able to defend takedowns. Might even try to go for his own takedowns. I'm not expecting a good fight here, by any stretch of the imagination. Both of these guys are well past their primes. But yeah, I think Cote at least has a little more in the tank than Joe Riggs. So Patrick Cote by decision. Next fight after that, Alexis Davis fights Sarah Kaufman. This is the 3rd bout between these two. Sarah Kaufman, 17-2 record with 1 no contest. 10 wins by KO or TKO, 7 wins by decision. She has 2 losses by submission, both by armbar. One from Markos Kunin, the other from Ronda Rousey. She's 29 years old. She last fought in April of 2014. She is a former Strikeforce Women's Bantamweight Champion. The last time she defeated Davis was by majority decision back in March 2012 in a really fun fight. And I actually expect them to kind of emulate what they did back in 2012 in Strikeforce. One thing about Kaufman, she has good stand-up. She uses combinations. She is a volume striker. Takedown defense is really good for her division, and her cardio is really good too. She can generally go at the same pace at round 3 as she does in round 1. Alexis Davis, 16-6 record, 2 wins by KO or TKO, 7 wins by sub, 3 losses by KO or TKO. She's 30 years old, training out of Cesar Gracie. She is a legit Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Her Muay Thai is actually not too bad. She actually has some decent knees, a decent leg kick game. Hands aren't the greatest though. Doesn't have a lot of power. Her wrestling's average. She can get fights to the ground. Her stand defense is terrible. She has really good back control, though. Sarah Kaufman here, I just think the thing with Sarah Kaufman is she only has like 3 strikes and a clinch. That's it. She has a jab, she has a cross, and then she'll mix into jab and cross, and then she has not like an inside leg kick. She doesn't even use the outside leg kick too much. She uses the inside leg kick, and then she'll clinch with her opponents. I mean, that's her offense. And then she defends takedowns, usually with a really good sprawl. That's her offense. I mean, seriously. She doesn't have a lot to her game, but what she does have, it's very efficient, though. And technically, it's not too bad. The biggest problem with Kaufman, though, is for as technical as it is, she's not heavy-handed. One reason for that, she fights really square. See her stance, she has a very squared up stance. That means there's not a lot of pivot, and it's going to be a lot of arm punches. Alexis Davis is probably going to oblige her in a stand-up battle. I can easily see that. And while she'll probably get some hits in on Kaufman, I think Kaufman will get more. And so Sarah Kaufman for the decision. Possible TKO. I don't know if Davis's chin, especially after getting knocked out the way she did from Ronda Rousey, is going to hold up. She's been hit a good amount of times in the face. Jessica I was hitting her pretty good. She's had some wars. Some wars with Sarah Kaufman. So, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Sarah Kaufman. Decision, possible TKO for the win. Next fight is that Bryan Barberena fights Chad Laprise. Bryan Barberena, 10-2 record, 8 wins by KO or TKO, 1 win by sub. 25 years old on a 7-fight win streak. Trains out of MMA Lab. He's actually has some pretty average skill set. His stand-up's just average. If anything, it's kind of sloppy. It's very untechnical. And his grappling, it's just average. His ability to take the fight to the ground isn't that great. He's alright on the ground. The thing that I see with Barberena is that he's pretty resilient. And he's a pressure fighter. And I think that really helps. Chad Laprise, though, 9-0 undefeated record, 4 wins by KO or TKO, 1 win by sub. 28 years old, trains out of Adrenaline Training Center with the likes of Jesse Ronson. He is an Ultimate Fighter winner. Pretty well-rounded guy, you know, just stand-up's good, is real technical stand-up. He uses combinations. He's a good wrestler. In his last fight, I guess, I forgot the name of the guy he fought, but he took him down, took his back a couple times. And he has good takedown defense as well. With that said, yeah, I don't see Chad Laprise succumbing to Barberena's pressure style. So I'm going with Chad Laprise for a decision. I think Laprise could probably outstrike Barberena. Like I said, he's pretty sloppy. He's not like the most technically sound guy. Maybe even get his own takedowns as well. And one thing about Laprise, I see him like he's very workmanlike. So I kind of see that's kind of his ceiling right there. You know, just kind of a workmanlike fighter. Chad Laprise by decision there. Next fight, that Olivier Aubin-Mercier fights David Michaud. Aubin-Mercier has a 5-1 record. All 5 of his wins are by submission. He's 26 years old, training out of TriStar. He has some strong judo. He's a good submission grappler. I want to make that. You know, someone pointed that out to me. It's like, oh no, judo isn't, like the ground stuff in judo. I mean, it's similar to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but it's not Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So, the term I want to coin there is probably, that I hear is submission grappling. And with Aubin-Mercier, his stand-up is improving. David Michaud, 8-1 record, 3 wins by KO TKO, 3 wins by sub. 26 years old, training out of MMA Lab. He's a good wrestler with just average stand-up. It's not great, but it's not bad either. So it's actually hard for me to call. I kind of like what I see more from Aubin-Mercier's game than David Michaud. I don't know if he can defend the takedowns. Who can get the takedown first? I mean, stand-up wise, they're pretty equal. I'm kind of leaning towards Aubin-Mercier here. I tend to underrate David Michaud though. I don't really know where he is as a prospect. I mean, he's not like a blue chip prospect, but he looks like a pretty solid fighter. I don't think I've ever picked one of his fights correctly though. So if he wins this fight, I'm gonna go with Olivier Aubin-Mercier to win. I'll go with by submission. Yeah, I'll go by submission or decision. But if Michaud wins, I'm going to have to really keep a closer eye on him. Maybe because, he lost to, lost to the Leech. I forgot his name. I just remember the guy's nickname is the Leech in his first run to UFC, but he took the fight on short notice. And it was a close fight too, and since then, I believe he's won his next couple fights after that. So, but yeah, I'm going to go with Olivier Aubin-Mercier by sub or by decision. On to the prelims, which will be on Fight Pass. We have Chris Clements fighting Nordine Taleb. Chris Clements has a 12-5 record with 1 no contest, 11 wins by KO or TKO, and 1 win by decision. Has 2 losses by KO or TKO and 3 losses by sub. He's 39 years old, training out of Team Tompkins. He's got the name of his game is he's an action fighter. He has good stand-up, decent knees. He's really game. He's taking this fight on short notice though. Nordine Taleb, 10-2 record, 5 wins by KO or TKO, 5 wins by decision. He's 33 years old on a 2-fight win streak, training out of TriStar. His stand-up's good. He does have some good knees, and his grappling's average. I'll tell you right now, these last 3 fights, these last 3 UFC Fight Pass these last 3 fights on the UFC Fight Pass are really hard for me to predict. Not gonna lie. Lower mid fighters are some of the hardest ones to pick because they both have weaknesses that are very much the fighters here tend to have weaknesses that are very much exploitable, and you just don't know who's going to be able to exploit them. Tough one for me to call, man. Nordine Taleb has crappy in the UFC so far. He has not looked very good. Chris Clements, if he wasn't taking on the fight on short notice, I'd probably go with Chris Clements here. I'm gonna go Nordine Taleb by decision. Absolutely not confident in this pick. I think this is short notice. Is probably gonna hurt Clements. Think in the later rounds, Nordine Taleb can probably get more offense in on Clements, but not confident with this pick at all. Nordine Taleb, I'll go decision win. Possible TKO win here. Not confident with this pick at all. Next fight after that, Valerie Trouble Letourneau fights Jessica Rage and Rakoczy. Both of these fighters are making their first cuts to 115 pounds. Letourneau has a 6-3 record with 4 wins by KO or TKO, 1 win by sub. At 31 years old on a 2-fight win streak, training out of TriStar. She's a good kickboxer with just average grappling. With Rakoczy, she has 1 win and 4 losses with 1 no contest. So 1 win by KO and 2 losses by KO or TKO. She's 37 years old, and she last fought Juliana Pena back in November 2013. It'll be her first cut to 115. She is a good boxer. She actually has good footwork. Her overall grappling game is not very strong though. One of my biggest problems with this fight, besides the fact that they're both cutting to 115, besides the fact that Rakoczy hasn't fought in like close to 2 years, is that I don't know if Rakoczy's stand-up is a bit overvalued. And one thing is, I know she has some boxing experience and she's a champion boxer, but what that means, I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know if these are like major organizations or whatnot. That I should probably do the research, but to my knowledge, I don't think they are. I'm not 100% certain. The other problem is she looked good on The Ultimate Fighter. You know, she beat Roxanne Modafferi. She beat Raquel Pennington. Big problem with The Ultimate Fighter. If you go on like Bloody Elbows MMA Prospectus, I'll say this to you. Ultimate Fighter just is not a good gauge for like a fighter skill set. It's just, you know, they had to cut weight, and maybe that helped Rakoczy a lot because she didn't really have to cut weight that as much as the others. A lot of them don't fight. They're not fighting with a full training camp, so they're not at like peak condition. So some fighters can look better than they really are, and some fighters can look a lot worse than they really are. So with that said, I'm going to go with Valerie Letourneau by decision here. I think at the very least she is a more diverse striker. She will throw kicks along with the punches. She may even be able to take the fight to the ground as well. So, yeah, Valerie Letourneau for the win. Maybe Rakoczy, but you know, just uses her footwork, runs circles around her, and just uses her boxing to win. But I'm going to go with Letourneau here for the win. And finally, Ace the Bash, Daly fights Randa, the quiet storm Markos. Markos has a 4-2 record, 3 wins by sub, 1 win by decision. She's 29 years old, training at a Michigan top team with the likes of Dan Cruikshank. She's a good wrestler. Her stand-up is improving, but it's really sloppy. She kind of just wings haymakers. But she does seem to have some pop in her strikes, and her cardio isn't that good. Daly has a 15-5 record, 5 wins by KO or TKO, 8 wins by sub, 27 years old. She's on a 2-fight win streak. Trains out of SBG Ireland with the likes of Conor McGregor. Daly's game really is just more on her toughness and grittiness. She pushes forward a lot, but on a technical level, she's not that great. You know, her striking is really sloppy. Even her takedowns are a bit awkward. She manages to get takedowns. She's not a great wrestler or a great takedown artist. She tries to use her size a lot of times when she can. I don't think she can do that to Randa Markos, though. Her overall grappling game isn't that bad, but she can lose position and whatnot. So it's hard for me to call because, if anything, this is like prospect versus veteran in a sense, you know. Markos 4-2, I mean, 29 years old, hasn't been fighting for a while. I'd say she's a prospect, and Daly's been around for a while, actually, 20 fights. Randa Markos, in my opinion, definitely has the more upside. I'm going to go with her for the win, too. I think I've seen Daly get out-wrestled, like Barb Honchak. I think Markos can take Daly down. I don't know if she'll be able to hold her down. She's hard to hold down, but I think she can consistently get the takedowns on Daly for at least 2 rounds. So I'm going to go with Randa Markos for probably decision win there. Okay, to recap, I have Demetrious Johnson beating Kyoji Horiguchi, Michaud Bisping over CB Dollaway, Fabio Maldonado over Steve Boss, John Makdessi beating Shane Campbell, Thomas Almeida over Yves Jabouin. On Fox Sports 1 prelims, I have Patrick Cote over Joe Riggs, Sarah Kaufman beating Alexis Davis, Chad Laprise over Bryan Barberena, and Olivier Aubin-Mercier over David Michaud. On the UFC Fight Pass prelims, I'm Nordine Taleb over Chris Clements, Valerie Letourneau over Jessica Rakoczy, and Randa Markos over Aisling Daly. So that's it for my predictions for UFC 186, Johnson versus Horiguchi. If you have any comments, just leave them below. And that's it for MMA for you. Thank you guys very much.